Hey, Steve Magnante here in Auburn, Massachusetts at High Octane Classics doing another High Octane Walkaround. And you've got to know what I'm standing next to, of course. We all know the 427 Shelby Cobra, made in 65, 67, a little bit of 68, a lot of replicas and kit cars since then. And indeed, this is indeed a replica, a tribute, if you will, because it's made of fiberglass, not the aluminum of the originals, which is just fine. The reality is the originals, the aluminum was about 3 times the thickness of a soda can. In other words, if you wrapped on it, you could dent it without too much trouble, let alone hitting a pebble or a rock and sending it through the fender at 100 miles per hour. That happened. With that said, these are so highly evolved, the realm of the replica market. They're as good, if not better, than the original or the real thing. Now, the beauty here is that this one does have a 427 emblem on the front fender, has side pipes, but with most of these, that 427 is probably a stroked Windsor, a 351. Well, not here. The beauty here is that this actually has a Ford 427, and this is an FE series, which is to say, just like the originals had. And this is actually a 1965 vintage 427 with the cross-bolted mains. If you didn't know, the 427 is different from a 428 or a 390 or a 352 or a 332 because it actually has a thicker bottom end with cross-bolted main caps versus the 2-bolt mains on the 390s and 428s and 352s, etc. So it's the real thing. A great engine to have, and this also has a top-loader 4-speed manual transmission, which is also something right out of Carroll Shelby's recipe book from 1965. A couple of Holley 4-barrels right here, dialed in, ready to be used. Braided fuel line here, which is also typical of Cobra back in the day. This was more impervious to damage from flying debris at Sebring or Daytona. Rack and pinion steering. And this one does have a lot of upgrades. The frame is actually thicker wall than the original Cobras, a larger radiator with the cooling fan here, so the overheating that could afflict an old school Cobra back in the day has been pretty much designed out of these. But the beauty here again is that 2-seat interior, the beautiful wood and aluminum steering wheel right out of the Cobra parts bin. And again, the 4-speed top loader under the floor, just like an original car. Now here at High Octane Classics, sometimes cars come in and we fine-tune them a little bit. The paint on this one is sort of a purple. This will be changed out, probably to a blue and white, more traditional and typical. With that said, the mechanicals and the bones of this thing are really solid. Independent rear suspension out of a Jaguar, and that's a classic add-on. In fact, the Jag rear suspension is similar to what was used in the independent suspension Cobras, the Dana 44 rear axle. Disc brakes inboard on the Jaguar. And just like the original 427s, the quick fill gas cap right here. The idea being that at Daytona or Sebring or Le Mans, you would pull in, your crew would very quickly fill your tank, and off you go to beat up some Ferraris. So that's the story of a replica of a 427 Cobra that really has a 427 under the bonnet, as the Brits like to say. And learn more about this car, check it out on the High Octane Classics website.